Thank you. Thank you, Han. Okay, so that was half of my introduction. I don't have to do that anymore. It looks like you're either very curious about Crossplane and how we over-engineered our way through a very cool product, or you're just a little bit lost, because the parallel talk is about cloud-native farms, how to apply cloud-native tools to a Swiss farm. That one is super interesting as well. But please stay here, yeah? Right, so the product owner part we know. What you probably don't know is that I'm quite new in this cloud-native open source industry. I come from healthcare, and here goes my laptop. But we're back. Okay. I come from a healthcare industry, and all this Kubernetes, namespace, instance lingo is quite new to me. And also, new to me is this fascination about stickers. A tool does not exist unless it's a sticker. That's what I've learned. So actually, the other day, I found a princess sticker on a laptop next to the Kubernetes ones, because, well, my daughter saw that that's where you put stickers, right? Okay, luckily for me, this industry, this ecosystem is nothing new to Vision. Vision is the company I work for, and they've been in this business for around 11 years, providing 24/7 support to software engineers so that they can make their services into 24/7 running online services. And Vision is a team of around 50 people here in Switzerland and also in Vancouver, Canada. And the Canada part allows for follow the sun rotation for on-call. Alternatively, you can also have a sleepy on-call engineer if it's important that the data is accessed only from within Switzerland. And no, it's not a typo. Vision is spelled exactly as you see it and pronounced as the things that eyes do. Right. And Vision runs everything on-prem, private, any cloud infra that you need, and it's based on Kubernetes to orchestrate backups, maintenance, config, anything you need. And all of it started as a 24/7 support for some custom softwares, and it has evolved into a completely different spectrum where now most of the clients coming to us wanting to offer their software as a service to their clients, which means that they don't want to take care of the infrastructure. So for Vision, the whole focus has shifted towards managed services. And with managed services, we mean that we create the platforms and infra, and our customers deploy their software and go on a trip, go on a vacation, because we take care of the rest. You don't want to do that, right? You just want to take care of the software. You just want to take care of your tool, that it's up and running, and that's it. You need to just look at that. But in order to go on a nice, deserved rest, you need to make sure that the infrastructure works. You need to take care, well, if we look in Switzerland, we have mountains, rivers, lakes, rain, snow, sun, apparently as well. And you need to take into account all of this when you, for example, build train tracks, right? And our tracks of choice were Crossplane. Anybody familiar with the tool? More familiar than just I've heard of it? Okay. Right, for the ones who do not know what's Crossplane, I will mention what it is not. It's not ice cream flavor. It's a very, very powerful control plane tool for software engineering, for platform engineering. It allows you to configure APIs so that you can make sure that your end user can get the stuff that they need. So the API lets you to configure the cloud-native softwares in a state that you want it to be. And that's the desired state. But don't mix it with observed state. So the desired state is, I want coffee in my hand. The observed state is that, where's my coffee? And the best part of Crossplane is that it automatically fixes this discrepancy between observed and desired state. So if I would be in Crossplane, the coffee would be magically here, if that would be configured as the desired state. And Crossplane has this beautiful intention that it puts the engineer in control. Or at least you get the sense that you're in control. Because as one of my developers told me, it's really hard to get the state correct. Right, Mike? And we have been using Crossplane for quite a while. We've actually listed one of the companies that have a commercial Crossplane offering. That's us, right up there, next to Upbound, who are the company behind Crossplane. And we also run a Crossplane Competency Center. That's a handful, right? Here in Switzerland, we've been using Crossplane in production since February 21, and back then it was version 0.14. So the issues that you're facing, we've probably had them, and we've probably found a way around, over, under, so that we can get through to solving these issues. We started using composition functions when it was just the alpha release, and we also started using remote calls when it was just a tiny, tiny side note in the docs, and it did not even work with Red Hat OpenShift, which is our choice of Crossplane at the most of the times. And actually, we just had to decline a request for support because we don't have yet experience of migrating to Crossplane 2.0. But I'll get there later. We are very open about what we know and what we don't know. So again, observe desired state, right? Right, so the tracks, we understand. My goal of steps is done for today. What about the trains themselves? Initially, we started to build something very, very simple. One cluster, everything in one space. And the example was with a customer who wanted just two databases, just two types of databases, Redis and MariaDB, t-shirt sizes, and they are having around 700 Redises and around 600 MariaDBs. Yeah, just t-shirt sized instances, no extra settings, not even backups. Very, very boxed, very simple, very isolated use case. And Crossplane was just perfect for that, absolutely perfect. Back when we started, there was no real alternative, so it just nicely got the job done. But then, you know what happens when it's simple and easy, right? Feature requests start coming in, and they are not unreasonable. Who doesn't want a backup, restore, logs, metrics, alerting, maintenance, version upgrade, scaling, user management? It just comes with the package, right? That's why you want a managed service. You do not want to take care of these things. They should be just running, just taken care of. And then also, on top of that, we get some special feature requests, like Collabora for Nextcloud. Nextcloud is also something that we take care of, and also free choice of infrastructure. So, we needed to kind of reshape our offering to fit these different use cases, which is initially the same use case, right? Managed services. And this all evolved into something we call split architecture or split control plane. There's a control cluster where all the magic happens, and a service cluster where just your instances are running. That's where just the user connects, a service cluster, and everything else is the logic. And luckily enough, our customers went with that. So one of our customers for this type of architecture is actually a health managing body in Frankfurt. So, healthcare, important that it's up and running, and that they need to take care just of the application itself, because it's important enough, right? Patient data, you just need to focus on it. And the customers chose cloud provider that's, for example, that's Exascale, that they are Swiss-based, but they have also data centers in Germany, so the data never leaves the country. It stays there, and we are sure of it. And we take care of the databases. They have Postgres and Redises, so it's a nice working environment. And actually, this setup comes also as a sticker version. Servala, or I mean, pardon my German, Servala. And it's a sovereign app store for exactly that, it runs air-gapped, on-prem, private, any cloud that's needed with SLA and 24/7 support that we take of all the infra. And actually in Switzerland, there is one company that fully embraces this one, also with 2 cloud providers. HIN, have you heard of them? So your doctors probably in Switzerland have a @HIN email address, and we help with the infrastructure for them. So they actually use 2 cloud providers. They are on both CloudScale and Exascale, and use Keycloak, Redis, MariaDB from us, and provide a not vendor locked in solution to their entire infrastructure. So we are proud to provide a stable service. I mean, stable is really what I want to say achieve, but I'll use strive for in this case, because as in any journey, of course we've had some mishaps, and yeah, there was a spoiler already in the beginning, so yes, there have been some issues. That's just part of the business. That's always there. And one of the minor issues that we've had is our deletion protection got wiped completely because of a minor crossplane change. See, our deletion protection relied on a specific label on an object, and if the label was still on the object when the deletion was triggered, the deletion was blocked. And the minor change for Crossplane was that they removed the label before they started the deletion process. We learned about this the hard way, but that's also the moment when you realize that backups are important. Always make sure that you have backups of everything. One other rather important issue that we had, and a nice learning curve, was that the application was not reachable. Due to historical reasons, we have a special approach to connection details that we need to rework. We have split them, which sometimes introduces a race condition. And the use case that we're currently needing is supported by Crossplane already for about 2 versions. We just need to clean up the code, which is also effort, but we're almost there. And this was a painful issue, but we solved it. It's manual intervention, not nice for the customers, but luckily nobody got hurt and everything was fine. Also, this one is the big one. It hurt because it was a scheduled night maintenance with no expected downtime. Everything was tested. Everything was accounted for, but the tests happened on a test infrastructure with 1/10 of the load. And remember, initially I mentioned the customer with around 700 Redises and 600 MariaDBs. That was that one. And the interesting thing about Crossplane is that when an object is marked for deletion, you have 0 control to fix it, because the garbage collector just takes it up, and you can look and cry and pray that there are backups. Because, so this one happened because we patched some things that we should not have patched in the order that we patched them, and objects went into an invalid state. Remember the discrepancy between observed and desired state? It just couldn't find the right state, and the object got wiped. And afterwards recreated. So 230 database objects were lost. For some, there were backups. For some, a bit older backups. But we managed. The customer is still with us. We all got it through together, and it was not the first time for either of the companies that something like this happens. Maybe the scale has been different in many cases, but this just happens. And it was a very strong learning curve for both parties to remember, again, the importance about backups. Make sure that they exist and they are recent. I guess I need IT support here. Yeah. With your customers, you can get past anything as long as you continue communicating and as long as you have enough people on call joining the nightly rotation. So what started with 6 people on call called and ended with 20 people at 10 a.m. trying to solve the issue still, and then a bit more 2 hours later, but we got past that. And actually just one question is left at this point. Will Crossplane 2.0 help us and solve our entire use cases? And the answer is 42. It just really depends. We need to fully evaluate our use case and the architecture and the possibilities that are out there. Because simply when we started building AppCat, the managed services that evolved now into Servala, there was nothing else out there. There simply wasn't that would fit our use case. And now our needs have evolved, so have Crossplane. They've come a long way from where it was to where it's now, with usability and everything, but also this split architecture, it's not the way that they are necessarily going, or it's not the priority for them, but it's absolutely a priority for us and our customers. So we need to evaluate. We are working on it, and I cannot say if we will go with Crossplane 2.0, because staying with our current setup is not an option. You need to upgrade, and there are code changes needed either way. So we just need to see. Stickers? And yes, if you want the cat, you need to either talk to me afterwards or go to the Vision booth. There might be some still left, but that one is a difficult one to get. Thank you, guys. We can move towards questions.
Thank you so much, Liene. I love failure stories, I have to say, because you can always learn from them and you can't omit them. I mean, losing production databases sounds like the worst scenario you can get into. So, are there any questions for Liene? Who's the first one?
Hello. So I wanted to ask, how do you make sure the backups themselves don't get deleted accidentally?
Yeah, that's a good one. So we have also self-service backups implemented for all the services that we provide for our customers, and we proactively make sure that the customer is very aware to validate the backups, and we also proactively check that the backups are there and they work. Test the restore procedure, even if it's not self-service yet. Test the restore procedure. It might be extra effort, but it's definitely gonna pay off. Especially if the on-call needs to find them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What was the question here? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for the talk. Your last point about upgrading to Crossplane 2.0 made me wondering, it kind of seems like you switched one vendor locking with another. Could you put it that way, or don't you see it that way?
Right, talking about not being vendor locked in. Yeah, it is. What we want to do is to minimize the vendor lock-in as possible. I mean, you're dependent on one tool on the other. You just need to make sure that the tool of choice is the tool that you really believe in and that you feel like you can grow with. For us and our experience with Crossplane, it has been amazing. Like the journey has been really exciting, not to overuse this word, but it's also a big challenge. And we like the ecosystem. We like how the tool develops and how they actually have a pulse on the community, and they're open to introduce the new use cases and then move to the direction that we need to. So that's nice, but yeah, we are also very open-minded to check what's out there, you know. So yes, it is a vendor lock-in in either way, at least for us, not for our customers, because they can stay vendor agnostic.
Thanks.
I might have missed this, I came a bit late, but when I came in, you had a diagram that showed that you used the OSB API spec as an entry point. And I was wondering, like, what was your reasoning choosing that specific, like, API specification for a managed service provider rather than something more flexible, like the Kubernetes API itself?
Right, so you might have also missed the part that I'm a product owner.
Okay, never mind.
But I can, you can swing by the vision booth later on and we can talk to an engineer.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a second, there's another question. You'll be coming next.
So I have a question also regarding the upgrade on 2.0 you mentioned. It seemed like you were maybe hesitant to upgrade. Are there any particular reasons? Are there breaking changes or big changes which you're maybe considering not, or maybe considering going another way?
It's effort. That's the long story. But no, we're definitely going towards it. We just want to genuinely evaluate the alternatives, if that makes sense. Because it's effort. And don't get me wrong, upgrade to 2.0 is a good effort, and the effort that we really want to take. But before we take this step, we just want to have the whole picture.
Okay. Fair. Okay.
Because the ecosystem has changed.
Okay.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, can customers still opt out of having backups after this mishap?
Yes.
And if they do so, the follow-up question is, do you absorb the price of those backups if they do so and take them in the background and have them just to have them available in case something like this happens again?
Asterisk. For this issue that happened, the backups were the responsibility, and backups are always the responsibility of the customers. We have a huge notification mark, remember to configure backups, and do configure backups. And for this customer, for some point we needed to disable the backups because it was just not our responsibility and they were eating up space. And now we again have proactive backups, even though it's not our responsibility, because you do not want to be in this situation. Actually, just the other day we implemented a feature that you can disable backups. Like really disable your backups because you do not want for your test instances, for your test environments to have the full-scale backups because space issues, right? Costs are always a topic for anybody. But for production, you absolutely need to have that. And there needs to be an open agreement already before anything happens with the customer whose responsibility is what. But yes, we do proactive backups as well.
Okay, thanks.
It's not a question, it's just a follow-up to what you mentioned about Crossplane 2.0 and the migration. The big problem with migrating to Crossplane 2.0 is that they completely revamped how resources are managed. So you can't just do an in-place upgrade. We would have to completely rewrite our service to actually accommodate for Crossplane 2.0 because resources aren't managed the same way anyway. So it's a really big breaking change, and that's why we're at the point of reevaluating if we even want to go the Crossplane route, or because we would have to rewrite our servers quite a bit.
That's Mike. That's one of the engineers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Following up on exactly this statement, what are the alternatives you're looking at? Alternatives to Crossplane 2.0?
I cannot say that yet. Publicly. The architecture document is not yet published when we fully evaluate. So soon enough, you can check on Vision Docs, and there's going to be a full-scale evaluation with alternatives.
But you for sure, you're aware of some of the technologies in the market, like KCP or, but you cannot share that, or what?
Not yet, no.
Ah, well, okay.
But there's going to be public documentation. So all the decision documents all the decisions that we make public. We call them ADRs, architecture decision documents, and you can find them because Vision lives a full open source life cycle, so you can see what decision we made and why.
So it's maybe a very naive question from my side, but it seems that every company or service provider is trying to implement their way of offering DB as a service and so on.
Yeah.
Is there not any open source project available you just can pull and start working on? Or
this one is open source?
No, I mean from scratch, everything already there. You just need to configure it. Done.
It would be nice. So the goal that we are trying to achieve is to bring the smaller cloud providers and putting them together with these managed services, that the customers, the companies here in Europe have a solid alternative, that they don't need to go knock on every single door to get one service from here, one service from there, one service from a cloud provider, but that there is this alternative, like real alternative, that you can choose your own ecosystem without going to a hyperscaler, when sometimes data privacy is a bigger topic than just a checkbox. But yeah, this entire Servala project, it's open source.
Any more questions? We still have room for questions. Okay, so lunch is waiting.